Of all of Nintendo's main home consoles, the Wii U is widely considered the biggest failure, excluding the Virtual Boy. Its extremely low sales were detrimental to Nintendo's reputation, and Nintendo is still trying to build it back up even in the Switch era. So why did the Wii U sell so badly, and why do I think it's one of Nintendo's best consoles? Let's find out. Before I get into what I like and don't like about the console, let's travel back to November 18th, 2012 and travel through the Wii U's short few years to see what games it had to offer. The Wii U launched on November 18th, 2012, and of the 32 North American launch titles, 2 games were the stars of the show, being Nintendo Land and New Super Mario Bros. U. I see a lot of people say how this launch was really bad, and while I don't think it was terrible, it wasn't anywhere near the launches of the Wii or Switch. Nintendo obviously tried to replicate the Wii's launch with a party game that shows off the technology in the console, as well as a first-party Nintendo game. With Nintendo Land, I think this was a great launch title. It's a high-quality party game that shows off the capabilities of the Wii U better than almost any other game on the console, and is super fun and replayable. I think it's even better than Wii Sports in a lot of ways. While Nintendo Land is great, it can only be so big being a party game, which leaves us with one other big launch game, New Super Mario Bros. U. This is what killed the launch. People were pretty tired of the New Super Mario Bros. Series after 3 installments that barely changed anything up, and this one was no different. It's a high-quality platformer, but it's just so bland and boring. It can't stand up at all to something like Twilight Princess or Breath of the Wild. And as for showing off the Wii U's graphical capabilities, this is not a game you want to show someone when you say your console's in HD. So as for the launch, it wasn't too bad, but can barely pass as good, seeing that a half of the major launch titles were good, and the one that was good is only a party game. Fortunately, however, Nintendo would pick up the pace in 2013, where the Wii U finally gained some footing. After a disappointing launch and a long game drought until late March, 2013's games finally started to arrive. The main titles this year were Pikmin 3, Rayman Legends, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, Wonderful 101, LEGO City Undercover, and Super Mario 3D World. I'll say while this year isn't perfect, it's definitely really solid with some great games. While Rayman Legends and LEGO City Undercover are cross-platform, I wanted to include them because both were meant to be Wii U exclusives, and LEGO City Undercover was for some time before being ported to other consoles. Pikmin 3 is a wonderful return to the Pikmin franchise that looks gorgeous in HD and is one of the only games to legitimately use the Wii U in any way that benefits the player, excluding Nintendo Land, which is just a perfect representation of the Wii U gamepad's potential. Wind Waker HD, while still being a remaster of a GameCube game, looks so much better in HD. And while I haven't played it, I've heard great things about it, and the item management with the gamepad seems to be really helpful. Wonderful 101 seems to be pretty good from what I can tell, and Rayman Legends and LEGO City Undercover are both amazing games and personal favorites of mine. And for Mario 3D World, it's a really fun Mario game, and while it isn't as grand in scale as something like Galaxy, it succeeds in tight and focused level design with tons of new ideas and fantastic music. I'd say the game is pretty underrated as many people push it aside, as it didn't have a main theme like the other main Collectathon Marios. So overall, 2013 was a huge improvement from the launch of the system, but I think one of the main problems is that most of the games came out in the later part of the year. Most came out in summer, and 3D World came out in the holiday season. So basically in the beginning of the year in spring, there was really not much to play because I know Rayman Legends got delayed a while. And having games like a Zelda remake, Less recognizable titles like Pikmin, a third-party exclusive, and some cross-platform titles, these are all good, but they're not really going to sell you on a $300 system. Quality games started coming to the system, but it wasn't until later in the year, which I think was a really big thing that brought down 2013 from being a really good year for the system. 2014, however, was when the Wii U turned from a good system to a great system. 2014's lineup is stacked. Mario Kart 8, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Hyrule Warriors, Smash Bros. 4, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Bayonetta 2. This is how you do a year. And 2014 saw the global launch of Amiibo figures, which were a massive hit upon release. Mario Kart 8 is a fantastic Mario Kart that was a huge step forward for the series with live recorded music, insane track design with anti-gravity, and beautiful visuals. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is how you do a modern 2D platformer. Every level is different. Retro has succeeded in making the perfect difficulty for this game, with Donkey Kong's more heavy controls. It's wonderful and I'm so happy they ported this to the Switch. While I'm not a Warriors type of guy, I can't dismiss what a great idea it is to make a spin-off Zelda in a Warriors gameplay style, which is crammed with fan service. Hyrule Warriors is just such a cool idea. Smash Bros. 4 is a really solid Smash Bros. It looks and plays beautifully, and while it isn't as fast and tight as something like Ultimate or Melee, it's still tons of fun, and brought another big franchise to the Wii U. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is such a charming puzzle-type game. While I haven't played the full game, I did try out the demo on Switch, and it's just so nice to play, and the reviews seem really positive for the whole game. Same thing with Bayonetta 2. Haven't played it, but the reviews seem to be praising it a lot. And for Amiibo figures, yeah, I'll admit it, I love Amiibo. While the craze has definitely died down, when these figures launched, they were a huge hit. The Wii U definitely did really well in 2014. There were big games all year long and they all were great. " 2015 was when the Wii U started to fall apart in my opinion. Sales continued to disappoint, and Nintendo needed to put out games to make at least some money. It's weird because 2015 had some great games like Splatoon, Super Mario Maker, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and Yoshi's Woolly World. Splatoon was a big hit upon release and supplied Nintendo with a big new franchise. Mario Maker is a Mario fan's dream come true, and its use with the Gamepad made creating levels fun and super easy. Xenoblade Chronicles X seems to be liked by a lot of people, and recently I started playing Yoshi's Woolly World, and what an adorable, well-designed 2D platformer. But 2015 also had some terrible games like Mario Party 10, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, all getting reviews detailing how they were either rushed, lacking in any substantial content, or were just plain bad and not fun games. 2015 was also when Amiibo were going crazy sales-wise, but took a massive hit as Nintendo was running out of Smash figures to make Amiibo for, which were their main series to base figures off of, and the Animal Crossing line just didn't grab consumers. 2015 was also the passing of Satoru Iwata, the CEO of Nintendo at the time. This definitely made matters worse, as their main console was failing hard, and their CEO had just passed away. 2015 was a mixed bag year. It had some amazing games, but also some really bad ones. " 2016 was when I believe Nintendo gave up on the Wii U. Sales continued to underperform, and their reputation had been shattered at this point. They had already been working on the Switch or NX in the background during 2015, so that if they needed to discontinue the Wii U, which eventually did happen, they would have a new console to sell immediately after. But the Wii U and 3DS were still their main consoles, so they had to keep making games for them. So at the time, Nintendo was working on the Switch console, Switch games, Wii U games, 3DS games, and mobile games too, as they had begun to make some mobile games at the time. This meant the Wii U was barely supported during 2016. The Switch was a top priority, and the 3DS had a solid install base, and was Nintendo's only success at the time, which was why it got a lot of big games in 2016 like Pokemon Sun and Moon, Kirby Planet Robobot, Mario Party Star Rush, and Mario Maker for 3DS. The Wii U just got whatever anyone was working on at the time, regardless if it was good or not or finished or not. Nintendo just threw anything they were working on for the Wii U out into the market and hoped something would stick. It's sad because this year did actually have one good game, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, an upgraded version of the launch title for the Wii, with better graphics, button controls, and some other beneficial tweaks. The thing is, the Wii U is backwards compatible with the Wii, so if you had Twilight Princess on the Wii, which there's a high chance you do, since it was a launch title, you could already play it on your Wii U. The Wii U version, while definitely better, the improvements weren't as visible as something like Wind Waker HD. Wind Waker HD was more impactful because it was on the GameCube, which sold badly, so not many people had it, so the Wii U brought it to the modern gaming landscape, and its graphical upgrade was far bigger than with Twilight Princess. While Twilight Princess was definitely good, not much else came out this year. Paper Mario Color Splash was highly controversial among fans. Star Fox Zero was probably the most consistent game of the year, consistently hated by everybody. Pokken Tournament was also a Pokemon spin-off that came out, and I thought it was alright. 2016 was a bad year for the Wii U, and definitely the lowest point in its lifetime. The only thing keeping Nintendo alive during this period was the 3DS, which was doing quite well sales-wise, and the hype for the Switch, which was absolutely crazy. I know the Switch released in March of 2017, but from January 1st to March 3rd, technically the Wii U was still alive. This was such a weird period for the console. It was pretty much waiting to be buried. Nothing of note came out except on March 3rd when Breath of the Wild released. Breath of the Wild was the main launch title for the Switch, but Nintendo did bring it to the Wii U as the majority of Zelda fans on Wii U had been patiently waiting for Breath of the Wild for multiple years, which were filled with numerous delays. So there you have it, the Wii U's lifetime. This system had a ton of great games, but was absolutely destroyed by low sales. Pretty sad to say the least. Now let's take a look at why the sales for the Wii U were so low. Number 1. The marketing. The marketing of the Wii U was abysmal. Nintendo did everything wrong. First, the name Wii U makes the console sound like an add-on to the Wii, instead of a brand new console, so many Wii owners ignored the system. With the title Wii Blank being used in so many games and accessories like Wii Sports, Wii Fit, Wii Play Motion, Wii Wheel, Wii Remote, it's really easy to see why so many consumers were confused and thought that the Wii U was just an add-on to the Wii or an accessory just like so many of these, and the advertisements themselves were just terrible. The reveal of the system literally says brand new controller, not brand new system. Many ads also used little kids, which made the console seem like it was a baby toy. It's obvious Nintendo tried to bring in the casuals again like they did so well in the Wii era, but the bad advertisements and complicated gimmick of the system left the die-hard Nintendo fans to be the majority of people buying the console at launch. And speaking of complicated gimmick, let's get into reason number 2. Number 2, underused and complicated gimmick. The two-screen idea of the Wii U is good, in theory, but in practice it was completely underused by the Wii U's lineup of games, and it can be complicated to the average consumer. You want to be simple, and the Wii was simple. You used the Wii Remote for motion controls. For here you got 2 screens, people didn't know if it was an accessory or not, people were just confused everywhere, and that's a big problem. While some games used the gamepad well, like Pikmin 3, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess HD, Captain Toad, Nintendo Land, and a few others, Some just didn't use the gamepad at all, and many just put no effort in. The gamepad's weird gimmick also scared off a lot of third-party developers, as many had to put in a lot more work to put their games on the Wii U, while it was far easier for the PS4 and Xbox One, which were just the standard gaming consoles that everybody knew. Now to reason number 3. Number 3. No mainline Zelda game. The Legend of Zelda is a huge franchise for Nintendo, and having 2 remasters plus Hyrule Warriors being all the Zelda games we got on the system is really disappointing. Now Breath of the Wild was in development for basically the entire Wii U lifetime, and did release on the Wii U's exact time of death, but not having a mainline Zelda for the majority of the Wii U's life brought a lot less value to the system. The Wii and Switch both launched with a Zelda game, and I'm not gonna say it's the reason why, but I mean, just look at those sales. And for the last reason why the Wii U failed was number 4, not enough exclusive games. The Wii U had a great lineup of games, but what the system lacked was exclusives. You may say to me, Potato Sensei, PlayStation and Xbox will never get their hands on series like Mario and Zelda, but I'm not talking about PlayStation and Xbox. I'm talking about the 3DS. You see, during the Wii U's lifetime, Nintendo was boasting 2 systems at once, the Wii U and the 3DS. Having 2 consoles up and running at the same time wasn't something new for Nintendo. The NES and Game Boy, GameCube and GBA, Wii and DS. This had been a recurring thing for Nintendo, but why was the portable console now a problem rather than a solution? You see, the 3DS was far more powerful than any portable Nintendo console before it. Most portable consoles were far less powerful than their home console counterparts, but the situation with the 3DS was that I could play most Wii U games, but just with a lower resolution. So Nintendo simultaneously made an incredibly genius and incredibly stupid decision at the same time by porting most of the Wii U's library to the 3DS. While not all were carbon copies, most reused engines were very similar to their Wii U counterparts. Mario 3D World, Mario 3D Land, Mario Maker on Wii U, Mario Maker 3DS, Hyrule Warriors on Wii U, Hyrule Warriors Legends, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Yoshi's Woolly World, Pooch in Yoshi's Woolly World, Smash for Wii U, Smash for 3DS. The list goes on and on and on. Many Nintendo fans said, why pay $300 on a system when I can pay around $200 for a system that can play nearly all Nintendo major first-party games in that generation, but with a lower resolution? The problem hit its peak in 2015 and 2016, when Nintendo had to make a tough choice. Don't port Wii U games to the 3DS to hopefully raise sales of the Wii U, or port Wii U games to the 3DS to raise the sales of the 3DS, which was Nintendo's only good-selling console at the time. They chose the second option, which definitely hurt the Wii U, but at least helped out the 3DS a bit. Now I know I just complained about the Wii U for a long time, as it definitely has its fair share of problems, but let's move on to the good things about the Wii U, and why I said in the intro that it's one of Nintendo's best consoles. Number 1, great lineup of first-party games. The Wii U had a spectacular lineup of great games. Yes, there are a good few misses, but the amount of masterpieces Nintendo was able to produce in just about 4 years is really something special. I mean, just look at that lineup. Mwah! Games like Pikmin 3, Mario 3D World, and Mario Kart 8 are all personal favorites of mine that all came out on the Wii U. Number 2, Virtual Console. Seeing that the Switch was the first game console where I actively started to follow Nintendo, looking at my Wii U and seeing 6 consoles of legacy content available for purchase was crazy. The Switch is yet to receive anything more than NES and SNES, which is honestly the bare minimum. So seeing so many generations of Nintendo games available for purchase at such a low price is just great. It gives newer fans a way to play years of wonderful titles for an extremely low price. Number 3, free online. I never really used online when I used my Wii U as a kid, but realizing that the Wii U had free online and the Switch doesn't definitely added things that the Wii U does better than the Switch. Being able to play online games like Splatoon, Mario Maker, Smash, Mario Kart, and more for free is just great, and something I wish I used more when the Wii U was Nintendo's main home console. Number 4, Gamepad and Wii Remotes. While the Gamepad was pretty underutilized by a lot of the Wii U's lineup of games, when it was used well, it was used well. Nintendo Land, Pikmin 3, the Zelda remix, and a few others show the potential of the Gamepad. And speaking of the gamepad itself, the thing is really comfortable to use. And the Wii U also supported Wii Remotes, so there's no need to go out and buy more controllers if you already have Wii Remotes from the Wii. Number 5. Amiibo and Nintendo Directs. I know Amiibo and Nintendo Directs are something more related to the Wii U era, not the Wii U system itself, but I thought it was fine to include them since they are both big factors in Nintendo's gaming ecosystem today. Amiibo were sold out everywhere when they launched, and while the recent ones are a bit easier to find, these figures are still pretty pricey on places like eBay and Mercari, and are still in high demand by fans. I have a good few in my collection, and I think they're just so cool and really neat collectibles to have. Nintendo Directs also started in this era, and are Nintendo's main way of communicating game info with us today. Directs unify the Nintendo community in hype, and while the reception may be varied, they're so fun to predict and speculate about, and are really nice to look forward to. Number 6. Streaming services. While I didn't use this feature much, I can't ignore that the Wii U has access to standard streaming services. Hulu, Netflix, and many more were all available on the Wii U, which are disappointingly not on the Switch, sadly. The Wii U era was a hard time for Nintendo. With their CEO passing away, sales of the Wii U falling way below expectations, and their brand reputation being shattered, Nintendo wasn't doing so well. Fortunately, that would all change with the Switch, which brought Nintendo back into the swing of things. The Switch has and still is selling like crazy, and has been a massive success with Nintendo. Nintendo learned from their mistakes and launched the Switch with a pretty stellar launch title, completely changed their ad campaign to more adult teenager lifestyle videos, and filled the Switch's lineup with tons of great games. And while I definitely love the Switch, I can't help but look back at the Wii U and how its fall wasn't really its fault. Many of its problems weren't with the quality of the console itself, but with the marketing and how Nintendo presented it to consumers. If you bought the console, then all the terrible marketing wasn't an issue at all, since you had the console already. If you take away the bad marketing and its competition with the 3DS, the Wii U is a great gaming console, which in many ways, like the Virtual Console, streaming services, free online, and more, make it better than the Switch. The games are so good, Nintendo has ported almost all of them to the Switch for full price. That shows you how good they are. I still use my Wii U today, and I'm having so much fun. I'm playing Yoshi's Woolly World right now, which is a great game by the way, and I'm contemplating getting Metroid Zero Mission on the Virtual Console. The Wii U is widely considered a terrible console because of its low sales, but the low sales aren't because of its quality, but because of Nintendo's approach with marketing the system. The Wii U didn't fail Nintendo, Nintendo failed the Wii U. While the Wii U definitely has its fair share of flaws, I firmly believe that it's one of Nintendo's best consoles, ever. It also had a new Pikmin game, so bonus points there.